And this is one of the great works in American history. I mean, it's huge, and it's something that every collector wants. But we gotta stop for a second.
This story of Rebecca's disappearance will give you chills. It all began with a worn-out book on the Pawn Stars counter that initially seemed ordinary, until Rebecca Romney appraised it. Then, just as suddenly, she vanished from the show. What really happened behind the scenes? Why did a trusted expert disappear without a word? Join us as we explore the untold truth about Rebecca from Pawn Stars. The mysterious $40,000 book. Nothing in Rebecca Romney's early life hinted at a future centered on rare books. She often joked that old volumes felt like relics for retired scholars, not something a young woman with big intellectual ambitions would cling to.
Really hard to find. You have these three founders of the Pony Express. You have Russell, Majors, and Waddell. And Majors is the guy who's really, really devout Christian. And he's the one who insists that all of his Pony Express riders take an oath. They're told they can't swear, they can't drink, they have to deal honestly with their fellow men.
Her interests orbited around ideas and philosophy. She imagined herself as a thinker drawn to challenging questions. At 18, she entered college expecting a long academic life. By 22, she had built a formidable linguistic toolkit: English, French, Japanese, Latin, ancient Greek, and even partial Old English. She achieved this through intense, disciplined study. 12 hours a day spent translating difficult passages and mastering structures most students never attempted. Her professors still recall the exam in which she translated a Greek papyrus dated to around 300 BC with remarkable precision. She earned a perfect score. Her abilities later provided practical opportunities, allowing her to detect forged texts that could have deceived even seasoned collectors. Her thesis analyzed 2 second-century Greek fragments of Plato's Republic, requiring the kind of meticulous comparison, stroke by stroke, ink by ink, phrasing by phrasing, that few students attempt. At the time, no one imagined how directly those academic habits would influence her professional life. Then, in 2007, a misunderstanding redirected her path. Fresh out of college, she applied for what she believed was a straightforward management role at Bowman Rare Books in Philadelphia. She walked into the interview prepared for a standard administrative discussion. Instead, she found herself standing inside a quiet, carefully curated world, filled with first editions, ancient manuscripts, and collectors who demanded absolute accuracy. That unexpected moment became the turning point that carried her from academic study into rare bookwork, which eventually led her to the lights of Pawn Stars. And years later, it was that very path that placed her at the center of a controversy involving a stolen book, the FBI, and a sudden departure that remains unexplained to this day. What were the interesting opportunities that led Rebecca to her worst nightmare? A misunderstood opportunity. Within months of stepping into her new role, Rebecca found herself handling books valued higher than most houses. A Shakespeare First Folio from 1623, a leaf from the Gutenberg Bible, and pristine first editions of Isaac Newton's Principia Mathematica. She entered a world where a single misidentified letter or signature could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Every item demanded precision. By 2010, only 3 years after starting, she was promoted to gallery manager in Las Vegas at just 26 years old. The pace didn't slow. In 2013, at 29, she became the youngest senior director in the company's history. Her responsibilities expanded dramatically. She oversaw auctions and private transactions worth more than $10 million annually. With her uncommon expertise came fame and recognition. Rick Harrison definitely didn't find her through a casting call. Their connection had begun when she joined Bowman Rare Books. While she was managing the branch, Rick was also running gold and silver pawn. In Las Vegas, the community of rare item experts was small, and the circles of collectors, appraisers, and historians frequently overlapped. Their paths often crossed at local events, through mutual contacts, and through shared interests in objects that carried centuries of stories. Rick understood the difference between someone who merely appreciated books and someone who could read history directly from paper, someone who could evaluate ink, signatures, marginal notes, and the details that reveal authenticity. When the show needed a rare book expert, he simply picked up the phone and called the person he already trusted. That call led to Rebecca Romney's first appearance on Pawn Stars in 2011, a moment that introduced her expertise to millions of viewers and shifted her work with manuscripts into a highly visible role on one of television's most watched reality programs. This was supposed to be the beginning of a great opportunity, but it soon turned into an unexpectedly beautiful, yet unexpected situation. How so? Accidental entry into the rare book world. The foundation of trust Rebecca had built for herself over the years definitely set her apart, and her relationship with Rick Harrison extended beyond work. They were often seen on double dates, and their relationship intrigued fans. They had no idea that the composed, intelligent expert they saw on screen was not a random selection. She had been hand-picked. Her first on-camera appearance came in Season 4, on April 4, 2011. She was handed a stack of Civil War-era papers, including a Confederate bond from 1861 that could be worth $5,000 if authentic. She examined every detail: the texture of the paper, the ink's composition, the precise method of printing. Within 10 minutes, she exposed a forged signature, reducing the bond's value from $10,000 to a few hundred. Her methodical approach held viewers' attention. She cross-checked details quietly, never faltering under the camera's gaze. By the episode's conclusion, she became the book specialist, and she immediately stole the spotlight. Ratings jumped 15%. From that point, any paper-based item was routed to Rebecca. Between 2011 and 2020, she appeared in roughly 30 episodes, with her most intensive work concentrated in the first 4 years. During this period, she appraised items ranging from a $2,000 replica of a 1493 Columbus letter to an original broadside of the Declaration of Independence worth $15,000. Her skill wasn't limited to monetary value. In 2013, she shocked viewers by authenticating notes connected to Edgar Allan Poe, hidden inside a manuscript previously thought worthless. She also handled 19th-century slave trade documents, guiding collectors on how to assign value to items tied to painful, complex history. By 2014, Rebecca was responsible for nearly 3/4 of the show's paper-related appraisals. Some evaluations were high stakes. She once debunked a Shakespeare folio believed to be worth $10,000, proving it a forgery. What distinguished her wasn't just expertise, it was execution. Rebecca delivered her conclusions with unwavering composure, even when revealing explosive findings, such as a $50,000 book being part of an 1800 forgery ring. She maintained a calm conversational tone, as if she were explaining what to have for lunch. While other experts often dramatized discoveries, she remained calm. That methodical clarity became her signature style, earning her respect from collectors, colleagues, and viewers alike. She not only brought her expertise to the job, she saved Pawn Stars a whole lot of money as well, but also helped preserve care. How did she achieve this? More like an asset. In 2012, Chumley, a shop employee, faced the possibility of being fired over a poorly verified purchase. He had spent $500 on a signed copy of Charles Lindbergh's 1927 autobiography. Everyone at the shop suspected it was fake, and Rick Harrison warned that if the signature didn't check out, Chumley's next day off would be permanent. Rebecca intervened. She retrieved a verified copy of the book, carefully comparing signatures, and noted how Lindbergh's autograph evolved as his fame grew. The signature was authentic. She appraised the book at $1,500, triple Chumley's cost. One subtle signature had transformed a looming disaster into a rare victory. Other times, Rebecca's work intersected with deep historical intrigue. Someone brought in bonds claimed to be from the Revolutionary War, expecting a fortune. A closer examination revealed a far stranger story. The documents were Confederate, not revolutionary, and they were stolen. These bonds had disappeared after the Civil War and were transported aboard the USS Republic, which sank during a hurricane in 1865. The wreck was located in 2003, and some of its corroded contents were recovered by 2005. These bonds, potentially worth $50,000, carried a legal risk. Purchasing stolen property could have landed the shop in court. Thanks to Rebecca's meticulous research, the store avoided a high-stakes legal disaster. Across these high-pressure situations, Rebecca's calm, analytical approach became her signature. One of Rebecca's most memorable moments on Pawn Stars came when a seller brought in a copy of Shakespeare's First Folio from 1623. Genuine copies of this legendary book have commanded millions. One even sold for $9.98 million in 2020. The book in the shop looked convincing at first glance, its leather binding worn and impressive. But Rebecca's trained eye caught inconsistencies immediately. The paper didn't have the subtle aging of a 4-century-old volume. The ink seemed unnaturally crisp, and the tiny imperfections typical of manuscripts that had survived centuries were absent. She quickly identified it as a likely forgery, perhaps inspired by the so-called False Folio of 1619, a misleading collection by William Jaggard and Thomas Pavier. While those falsified editions hold some historical value, this one was far from authentic. Had Rick purchased it, the shop could have lost thousands. Rebecca's precision saved the day, preventing one of the most expensive mistakes in the show's history. Yet not every appraisal involved cautionary tales. Sometimes, her evaluations uncovered treasures that would delight collectors. A first edition of Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species landed in the shop, a text that had originally sold out on its November 24, 1859 release. With only 250 copies printed, Rebecca examined the green cloth binding, the original diagrams, and the June 1859 advertisements inside, confirming its authenticity. She valued it at $75,000. The importance of this book extended far beyond monetary value. Darwin's work had revolutionized science and religion in ways that even Newton and Copernicus had not. Copies with Darwin's personal annotations have fetched over $500,000, while later editions, such as the 1862 printing, where he revised his whale bear anecdote, are worth only around $9,500. This first edition represented the kind of rare find collectors dream about, and its presence in the shop was extraordinary. Between 2011 and 2015, Rebecca became a fan favorite, particularly after appraising a first edition of Frankenstein, a book valued at $20,000. Online forums erupted with excitement, dubbing her the Book Whisperer. Fans begged producers for more screen time for her, some even suggesting a spin-off series. Her calm, meticulous approach and uncanny ability to assess authenticity with precision made her a standout personality. But the rare book world was not without its complications, and for Rebecca, this complication came with a heavy price. What unexpected dilemma did she find herself in? A sticky situation. In 2014, an episode aired that sparked one of the show's most unusual controversies. A man arrived claiming to have a rare 1841 edition of the Book of Mormon. Rebecca carefully examined the volume and appraised it at $40,000, though the seller insisted on $100,000. After negotiation, Rick purchased it for $24,000, a seemingly excellent deal. Yet soon after, rumors began circulating that the book had been stolen from the Marriott Library at the University of Utah. Federal agents allegedly became involved, casting a shadow over what appeared to be a routine transaction. Whispers about the so-called Book of Mormon incident continued to spread quickly. Rumor had it that federal agents seized the volume, leaving the pawnshop empty-handed. No official statement was ever released, and no charges were made public. Yet discussions erupted across Reddit threads and YouTube videos. Around that same period, in late 2014, Rebecca Romney was reportedly questioned by the FBI. Agents allegedly wanted to understand how stolen historical books could appear on national television without triggering alarms. This wasn't an isolated concern. The FBI had a history of recovering stolen rare texts. By 2015, they had returned stolen books to the National Library of Sweden. Years earlier, in 2005 and 2006, the notorious map thief Forbes Smiley had been arrested for stealing millions of dollars worth of rare maps. Rebecca herself was never accused of any wrongdoing, yet the experience seemed to cast a shadow. Known for her confidence in appraising multi-thousand-dollar manuscripts, she suddenly found her judgment questioned, however indirectly. January 10, 2015 marked the end of her on-screen tenure. She appeared for the last time on Pawn Stars, evaluating a pirate book from 1734. Her appraisal of $1,000 was negotiated down to $400, and that was the last viewers would see of her. 4 years, 19 episodes, and no farewell. The History Channel offered no explanation, sparking speculation. Forums filled with questions. Was she fired? Did the alleged scandal play a role? Did personal circumstances prompt her exit? Some pointed to broader controversies surrounding the show, including accusations of staged deals and faked appraisals. Yet clues hinted at a more complex picture. Even after vanishing from the series, Rebecca Romney's LinkedIn profile continued to list her as Pawn Stars Rare Book Expert from 2011 to present. Some speculated this was purely for professional visibility. Others suggested it was tied to non-disclosure agreements. Regardless, her official link to the show remained, even as her appearances became infrequent. The professional narrative, however, offered a plausible explanation. In 2016, she relocated to Philadelphia. Officially, the move was tied to a promotion. She became senior director at Bowman Rare Books, overseeing library acquisitions and catalogs. Her career continued to evolve as she worked in Brooklyn and later settled in Washington, D.C., where she co-founded a new rare book company. From one perspective, her departure was purely strategic career growth, but the timing, just months after the Book of Mormon episode, left fans curious. Years later, the public received a rare glimpse of her again. In a special episode of Pawn Stars Do America, filmed in Washington, D.C., Rebecca rejoined the team for another appraisal of a pirate book. The chemistry remained intact. She teased Chumley, joked with Corey, and handled the appraisal with her trademark calm and precision, but the reunion only deepened the mystery of her prolonged absence. However, her disappearance from the show was far from the end of her career. What are some of the things she has achieved post-Pawn Stars? Her legacy in the book world. In 2016, Rebecca Romney married J.P. Romney, an author and historical researcher who shared her passion for books. What made the union particularly striking was J.P.'s distant connection to one of the most prominent names in American politics, Mitt Romney, the 2012 presidential candidate. Through him, Rebecca became loosely linked to the Romney political dynasty, including former Michigan Governor George Romney. Despite the connection, Rebecca has never met Mitt Romney, emphasizing that the family tie is nominal rather than personal. Unfortunately, her marriage to JP had ended in 2023. Fans speculated whether politics had influenced her life or career, but Rebecca insisted that her journey in rare books was entirely her own. The year after their marriage, the couple collaborated on a book that surprised both fans and critics. Printer's Error: Irreverent Stories from Book History, published on March 14, 2017, spanned 368 pages of little-known, often amusing moments from printing history. The book explored forged copies of Galileo's works, Charles Dickens's copyright battles in the 1840s, and even the origins of the Gutenberg Bible of 1455, a publication that never mentions Gutenberg by name. Only 48 copies of that Bible exist today, each worth tens of millions. The book combined Rebecca's real-world expertise with JP's storytelling flair. Critics praised it, sales were strong, and it established her as a respected voice in the world of rare books beyond the television screen. In 2020, she edited a science fiction anthology called Projections, keeping the attention on the stories rather than herself. Her most significant venture came in 2019 when she co-founded Type Punch Matrix, a rare book firm in Silver Spring, Maryland, alongside Brian Cassidy. This wasn't a conventional antiquarian shop. Their inventory included Shakespeare folios, Gutenberg Bible leaves, and other titles that were not only rare, but historically and culturally significant. Within a year, the business was catering to elite collectors, moving pieces worth hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. In a field traditionally dominated by older men, Rebecca carved out a distinct presence. She established herself as a figure who demanded attention on her own terms and also resurrected forgotten women writers. In 2017, Rebecca Romney teamed up with fellow book expert Heather O'Donnell to launch the Honey and Wax Book Collecting Prize, a bold initiative aimed at celebrating young women collectors. Each year, $1,000 was awarded to women under 30 who assembled the most original, surprising collections. The winners highlighted the diversity of modern collecting. In 2023, a tattoo artist won her hybrid botanical works, and in 2024, a national security analyst was recognized for a military-themed set. Rebecca had observed a quiet barrier. Women were passionate about collecting but reluctant to claim the title. The prize gave them recognition in the rare book world, backed by prestigious partners such as Biblio and Christie's. By 2025, 9 women had been honored, inspiring countless more to embrace collecting. That same year, Rebecca released Jane Austen's bookshelf on February 18, 2025. The work was a challenge to literary history itself. She confronted what she called the Great Forgetting, the systematic erasure of women writers who shaped Austen's world, including Frances Burney, Anne Radcliffe, and Charlotte Smith. Once bestsellers with print runs in the thousands, their works had nearly vanished. Rebecca asserted their loss and documented it meticulously. Only 10 to 15% of 18th century novels by women survive today, compared to 40% for men. She cataloged every book, and the result was startling. Critics praised the book for its rigor and boldness. The New York Times called it sharp and fearless. The Washington Post deemed it thrilling. And The Guardian described it as instinctive and electric. Within weeks, it sold over 20,000 copies. The revelation was both personal and scholarly. Even with her extensive training and career in rare books, Rebecca admitted she had never encountered most of these women writers. Not during her degree, not during her time at Bowman Rare Books, not even through her experience on Pawn Stars. She had read Fielding, Richardson, and other canonical men, but the women who had influenced Austen remained invisible. That realization sparked a mission. She would find these lost works herself. That mission reshaped not just her research, but the entire arc of her career. Pinnacle of bibliophilia. Rebecca's journey into the rare book world is a story of unlikely beginnings and relentless reinvention. Yet that unlikely start propelled her into the most exclusive circles of American book collecting, including the Grolier Club in New York. Founded in 1884,
Members, Grolier Club members, friends, and colleagues gathered virtually here today from every corner of the book world.
it is the country's oldest and most elite society of bibliophiles, with only 825 members worldwide. In May 2025, Romney is scheduled to deliver a lecture there, titled Jane Austen's Bookshelf, Collecting as Investigation. That lecture traces back to 2023, when she stumbled across a Victorian edition of Frances Burney's Evana. That discovery became a turning point, guiding her to uncover women writers who had inspired Jane Austen, but were nearly erased from literary history. Romney's work goes beyond narration. She is actively rewriting the canon. Since 2015, she has also become a cornerstone of antiquarian book seminars, teaching over 100 aspiring rare book dealers each year. Her lessons go beyond market value, exposing the truths rarely discussed in the trade: frauds, forgeries, and the overlooked contributions of forgotten authors. She frequently references the Thomas J. Wise scandal of the 1930s, in which over 50 fake first editions deceived experts for decades, emphasizing that collecting is a form of investigation. She also collaborated with tech firms to develop spectral ink scanners capable of detecting forgeries invisible to the human eye. One tool exposed a forged Columbus letter from 1493. Romney brought these tools into her seminars, teaching over 200 dealers how to use them. She also began designing VR simulations to allow collectors to interact with rare books digitally, merging preservation with transformation. Type Punch Matrix's impact expanded rapidly. By 2025, the firm had evolved into museum consulting, handling over 1,000 rare items valued at more than $10 million. Notable projects include a 16th-century manuscript displayed at the Boston Book Fair in 2023 and a lightning-fast acquisition of 2,000 romance novels for the Lilly Library in 2022, completed in just 16 hours. Beyond business wins, these efforts focus on inclusion, bringing overlooked voices into institutional collections. In 2024, she curated an exhibit spotlighting 18th-century Black writers. Her Silver Spring, Maryland team now numbers 10, and if her consulting model fully scales, it could generate $2 million annually through museum partnerships alone. From pawnshop appraisals to technological innovation and curatorial expertise, Rebecca Romney has transformed the rare book world, all while bridging centuries of literary history with the cutting-edge tools of the 21st century. Which part of Rebecca's journey surprised you the most? Why did Rebecca truly leave Pawn Stars? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.